We always begin with gratitude. So I want to thank you for being here and for doing whatever it is that you needed to do to show up and to be present here. I hope that you are allowing yourself the space to be however you are at this moment. I'm LA and I'm a holistic wellness therapreneur and the creator of this channel, Reconnect with You. For those of you who are new here, I want to give y'all a warm welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. If my vibe and energy or any of the contents of this channel resonate with you, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I will be posting videos on Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for #Solitude Sundays to send y'all some good vibes to start off the week. This channel has a primary focus on wellness and will include sound baths, affirmations, tips for different aspects of wellness, and short talks focused on you and your relationship with yourself, which is the foundation for all of your other relationships and aspects of your life. So, are you ready to reconnect with you? If so, come on in and get comfortable, whatever getting comfortable looks and feels like for you. Today, I want to talk to y'all about holding space for grief. This topic was inspired by the fact that very soon I will be going through a major life transition, which I will share some more with y'all about soon, but this transition is going to involve a lot of grief for me. I will also be leading a sound therapy or sound bath session for a grief group in a few weeks. And so I've really been sitting with this topic of grief for a little while now. I want to share with y'all 5 ways that you can hold space for grief. The first thing that's important with holding space for grief is to not compare your grief to that of others. Grief is a very complicated thing and it brings up different things for different people, and everyone experiences grief differently. So it's really important that you hold space for grief for yourself in whatever way resonates with you the most, and not focusing on or not thinking about comparing how you're grieving or the things that you grieve to the way that other people might grieve or the things that might bring up grief for other people. The second way that you can hold space for grief is for you to really take some time to reflect on what that thing or that experience or that person might have taught you, or how you might have benefited from that, from whatever it is that you're grieving. That's important because one of the things about grief, at least as it relates to my personal practice around grief, is honoring the things and the people and the places that we might be grieving. And when you're able to reflect on what that thing has given you or taught you, you are really honoring that thing or that person or that place by doing that. The third way that you can hold space for grief is to not impose any timelines or any judgment on your grieving process. Sometimes when we are grieving, whether this is the ending of a relationship or the passing of a loved one, or maybe even having to leave an old place or thing behind, sometimes we may say to ourselves like, oh, it's been this amount of time, I should be over this, or it's been this long, why am I still affected or impacted in this way? And that's a very unkind thing to do to yourself. And so it's really important for you to not impose those timelines, but really to allow your grief process to unfold in the way that it needs to, in a more natural and authentic and organic way, and not imposing any judgment on it, whether that judgment be from yourself or from other people. The fourth way that you can hold space for grief is to talk about it. Talk about your grief openly, normalize it. One of the things that I learned when my cousin was killed in a car accident years ago is that some people have a lot of discomfort around grief, around talking about grief. It was something that I needed to talk about because it was something that I was really impacted by. My cousin and I were very close. And so I still to this day, I talk about her sometimes. And it's important to talk about it. It's important to name it and give it the space and the time that it deserves. And sometimes with grief, some people may withdraw, or they want to hide, or they want to conceal the way that they're grieving. or conceal the fact that they're grieving at all. And it's really important to name your grief and to talk openly about it as much as you feel comfortable doing so. Talk about it openly with people that you trust, people that you feel safe with, people that you feel connected to. The last way that you can hold space for grief is to release. And releasing might look different for everyone. Some ideas that I want to offer up to y'all is that you can cry, you can journal, or you can scream. I laughed at the last one because years ago, a good friend of mine, I can't even remember what we were talking about, but he asked me, he said, have you ever gone out into the forest and just like screamed? And I was like, no, why would I do that? So we were talking through it some more, and I've actually done it, and it was very, very therapeutic. I don't know if there are any words that I can use to describe it, but it was very therapeutic. I felt amazing after. I felt empowered, and I felt like I let something go that I needed to. And I think the releasing is an ongoing part of your grieving process. And so I say releasing because sometimes in the grieving process, there are uncomfortable feelings and things that might come up. And so you may need to release things over and over and over again. Or releasing is another way for you to hold space for grief. I did an earlier video that I think is related to this topic of grief, and it's about practicing detachment. I'm actually going to attach that video or a card to that video, to this video, and I'll make sure that that's included in the description box below so y'all can check that video out as well. If you are new here, you are in for a treat. I like to end each and every video with a prompt for reflection or journaling. I always like for people to walk away with something that you can use, a practice that you can take away, or just something to think about. So the prompt for journaling or reflection from today's video is, what are you grieving right now? Is there anything that you need to grieve that you haven't let go of? Some people think that grief is only associated with death or the passing of a human being. And that's not the case. We can grieve all types of things. We can grieve experiences, we can grieve people, we can grieve jobs, we can grieve things. Make sure that you are holding space for your grief and for yourself as you are navigating your grieving process. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to connecting with y'all again soon, but in the meantime, reconnect with you. Namaste.